All right. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining the Video Marketing Study Group office hours. Today is February 24th. So, I think this is like our 15th or 16th office hours. We're getting pretty good at this. So, I'm feeling pretty confident. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Tell us in the chat, like I just mentioned a couple of times, who you are, where you're coming from. If you guys have any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to leave them in the chat and we'll go ahead and answer those at the end. Do some quick introductions as well. My name's Aaron Oberdick. I'm the video marketing manager here at Nextiny Marketing. I've been manager now for about 6 months and overall been with Nextiny for a little over 3 years. So exciting times in the Nextiny world. How about you, Corey?
My name is Corey. I am a multimedia marketer here at Nextiny, and I've been here for about just a little over a month now. So
Awesome.
getting into the groove of things.
Awesome. All right. So before we begin the presentation, I just want to mention the HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group. So Corey just dropped that link into the chat. Make sure you join this group. It's a great group to join if you have any sort of video related questions, or if you just want to kind of like thread through different people, what they're trying to accomplish in video on HubSpot. It's a great resource and just a great overall community that you can join and ask any video related questions. We're happy to talk pre-production, anything strategy related. We talk anything production wise. So if you need recommendations on cameras, if you need any sort of equipment recommendations, things like that, we're there to help. And then, of course, post-production questions. If you have anything on the editing side that you want answered, even if it's very specific or very broad, we're here to help. So definitely join the HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group. It is a great community to join and it's growing every day. So very cool stuff there. Now, hopping over to today's agenda, what are we going to be talking about today? First, we're going to talk about the HubSpot Video Bootcamp for Marketing, Sales, and Service. It's currently a 6-week course that we're conducting, and we do have some Bootcamp members here in the attendees list. So thank you to all of you for joining. We're going to talk a little bit about the recap. We are on week 3 and 4 of the bootcamp right now. So we're just going to do a review for everyone that's in the boot camp here. And then for everyone that's not in the boot camp, hopefully you learned something new in there. Then the main part of the presentation, we're going to be talking about Wiseow's State of Video Marketing Report 2022. They're very HubSpot oriented, so it's a little bit of a different study, but also along the same lines of the study we looked at 2 weeks ago through the Wistia State of Video 2022 report. And then once we cover all of that, we have a few study group and boot camp questions that we want to touch on and just kind of talk to the next level of those questions. And then last, we do have that Q&A at the end. So again, I've said this a couple of times, but if you do have questions, throw them into the chat and we're happy to answer those at the end. All right, so jumping in to the first part here, Bootcamp for Video Marketing, Sales, and Service. What exactly is it? So it's essentially a 6-week course that you can register for on HubSpot, and we're going to do this on a quarterly basis. So we're going through our very first bootcamp right now. I know I just mentioned some of you guys in the attendees list here are from the bootcamp, so thank you for joining the office hours today. Hopefully that experience has gone really well. And what we're trying to do is basically achieve 2 different things in the boot camp. We're kind of trying to achieve taking the alleviation or the stress from recording video and having that better understanding of video is not difficult to jump into. So really the goal is to record a lot of different videos. We're doing email signature videos. We're recording voicemail videos, sales outreach videos, customer outreach videos. So a lot of kind of hands-on video recordings that we're doing, and we're using an editing application called Descript to edit all of these in a very simple manner. And then on the other side of things, what we're trying to do is also create a video strategy and implementation. So the students on a week-by-week basis are kind of building upon their brand affinity marketing concept. So they think of an idea that they could create in a long form, and they determine what kind of videos to create. So they create their briefs, they create their outlines, and they run through the whole pre-production process of coming up with a whole video series. So it's really cool. And hopefully, coming at it from 2 different angles, you're getting a better approach to video. Now let's talk a little bit about the recap and what we've been doing in weeks 3 and 4. So if you guys were part of the office hours 2 weeks ago, you got the recap on weeks 1 and 2. But week 3 and 4, we covered essentially production. So everything you should be thinking about while recording. And then post production. So, all of the editing, where you post it, what hosting platform you should utilize, things like that. So, to get into a little bit more detail there, in week 3, we talked about setting up your lighting and your framing in an optimal manner. This is essentially taking any sort of like natural light and placing it in front of you, or if you have any sort of artificial light as well, lamps or LED lights, things like that. I can actually give kind of active answer here. You can see I got a lamp on me for the presentation. So just kind of highlighting lighting and why it's important, as well as framing. So making sure that your frame is nice and clean, adding anything that's relevant to the background, and just making sure that overall there's nothing distracting. When the viewer watches your video, they're into it and they're not distracted by any sort of background distractions. So then the next thing we talked about was what to think about while recording, right? So the mindset of speaking to a camera. Of course, when you're just having a natural conversation with anybody, it comes off very easily. But then when you kind of just stare into a lens, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So just thinking through the mentalities of while you're recording, always making sure that you are understanding you're the expert on the subject you're speaking to. Then we talking about after recording, right? So you just recorded your video. What's the next steps? Saving your files, and then the importance of video editing. So going in and determining what video editing platform you're going to use, what level you're at for video. So if you're just getting started, jumping into a little bit of an easier application that's not as high of a bell learning curve, and then on the flip side, if you have that video experience and as you start to edit and you start to understand the editing process, how I can jump maybe to a different application that just offers a little bit more features in that regard. So, we're doing in the bootcamp class, we're doing very simple editing tricks. We're really just removing the trim off of the ends of each side of the clip. We're adding small graphics, adding music as weeks go along. So, just overall, at the end of the 6-week course, they'll be able to walk away with the skills to be able to create small and simple videos, but put all these effects and put all the graphics into it to make it look really nice in a completed video. So hopefully that gives a little bit better idea of what the boot camp is. Again, if you're interested, Corey did drop the link there in the chat. So feel free to head on over to that page and register. We're going to be doing this each quarter. So in Q2, Q3, and Q4. So depending on the timing, whether it matches up with you or it doesn't, don't worry, because we're always going to do another course along these lines. All right, so we'll jump into the next step of the presentation here. We're going to cover the Wiseow State of Video 2022 report. And so Wiseow is directly partnered with HubSpot when they do this report. So they take a lot of data from the HubSpot CRM and they're able to just analyze everything. So we'll hop into the very first thing here. Video usage over time. So this has really stayed pretty steady over the years. You can kind of see that 2016, 2017 is a little bit lower, but 2018 kind of came and people really started to jump in video because overall the timing, the easeability of using video and creating video kind of started to come down with technology. And then you can see 2019 took even another big step. Then, of course, in 2020, we had a little bit of hindrance with the overall pandemic. So it took a little bit of step back, but it's still staying steady because as we kind of move through this pandemic, we're seeing that people still understand that video is being heavily utilized and very effective. So they're keeping the video in their strategy. They might have gone to a remote situation and started using video just out of need, right? And so they realized over time, a year passes, 2 years pass, video is essential to their business. And so they kind of just kept it along within their video strategy. Now, basically, we have 80% of all marketing companies out there implementing video in some way, shape, or form. So, how about the other 20%? What's the holdup with video? So, just gauging off of the different reasonings of why companies maybe not starting to record video yet, or why they haven't kind of taken that next step. And we're seeing a couple different answers here. So, a smaller percentage, only 5%, they're unable to convince key decision makers to use it. Of course, that's a little bit hard to kind of get over. Hopefully, as time goes on and statistics continue to rise, you can kind of influence your heads to be able to kind of get the ball rolling on video. 23% lacking time. And that's completely understandable. Everyone's schedule is very busy. We very much know that. But as I was just discussing, as more and more companies implement video, they start to realize it's not as hard as what it may have been 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, because technology is evolving so quickly and they're coming out with cameras with better automatic capabilities, cameras that just overall improve the quality and decrease the how hard it is to use it, right? The easeability of using these cameras have become really simple. So people are kind of diving in and getting a better understanding of video in that regard. 16% says don't know where to start with creating video. And I, I've asked, I think that's a higher percentage. And when I just kind of talk to people out in the world, because so many people say, I really want to get started with video. I see so many companies utilizing video, but how do I actually get into that? Of course, they take a step back, they don't know where to get started. So we actually have some really great resources. We have some good presentations from last year. We'll get those links and put them in the chat. We cover tons of different ideas over time through those presentations. And then we also have a link for 100 different video ideas that we're going to drop in the chat as well. So you can go through this blog and really understand there are so many opportunities to create video. Then 13%, they just don't feel it's needed. I mean, you can throw all the facts and information at people, and of course, they'll still make their own decisions. So you just have to accept that. 10% says it's too expensive. So this is another kind of thing or fear that is kind of coming down a little bit, right? Because again, 10 years ago, you might be spending $10,000 on equipment to where you're getting better equipment now and today for a fraction of that cost. So equipment is definitely dropping in price and the quality is still kind of being maintained. And that kind of rolls in with the same easeability of that technology. They're making it easier, just more efficient for being user friendly overall. And then 7% unclear of the ROI of video. So that's completely understandable. You know, when you start creating video, your first video, you might post it. It's not going to go viral. It's not going to get 3 million hits. You know, you might see your numbers most likely are going to be a lot lower than what you're anticipating. And that's okay because video is not a short term strategy. It's very much a longer term strategy. You really need to stick with it, continue with it, and you will see the results over time. But again, it is very much a long term strategy. All right. So the next slide here, what we're going to talk about, why are marketers starting to create videos, right? So this kind of just rolls into that last slide, videos becoming more affordable, as we just discussed. It became quicker and less time consuming to create videos. So this comes with the knowledge of recording, and this kind of rolls back into the boot camp. We're conducting that boot camp to really give people and give an understanding of why video is easy to create. It doesn't have to be difficult and hard to process and to record a video and to edit it. You know, there's so many tools out there that you can utilize now that make it very easy in that process. So a lot of people are creating it because it's just becoming easier, then easier to create videos in house, right? A lot of companies are starting to target videographers, bring videographers in because a lot of them are very flexible and they can kind of take on several roles in that regard, doing, you know, media content, video, photo editing, whatever it may be. But they're understanding the importance of video and they're bringing those people in house to understand how marketing works, how video works, and how they can kind of bring those together. 22% says clear on ROI of video. And this directly comes from, again, the long term strategy. So these people have maybe been recording now video for 9 months, 10 months, and they're starting to see that ROI. They're starting to jump into the analytics and they're getting views now and they're pushing people through the pipeline with their videos. So they're definitely seeing that ROI and engagement overall. Easier to convince others in business on value of video content, right? Again, ties into the easeability and how prices are kind of going down on this gear. Videos necessary by new challenges. So, of course, as we talked about again, the pandemic really took a challenge on a lot of people. It made a lot of people go to a remote business, and so they had to go to virtual. There was no option from there. So, being forced into video is definitely one way to have to learn it, right? And then, of course, just a small percentage of other, whatever that may be. Now, moving on to brand affinity marketing, this goes into the ROI. This directly ties into that. And this is marketers who have increased brand awareness with video. Basically, it is taking video and implementing it into a long term strategy. It's saying, I know I'm going to create video for, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I may not see any sort of analytics that jump out and excite me. I might not see any sort of ROI on that. But over time, I know I'm building that brand awareness and it will kind of build itself in a sense. So 93% of marketers say video has helped them with brand awareness. It's huge, right? It's getting your brand out there. And again, this kind of goes back into the boot camp where we're trying to educate you on how to improve your videos and brand your videos to make sure you're creating this brand affinity marketing strategy. So it definitely works. You just got to get the ball rolling on it and continue working on it. And then average watch time. This is going to be the last statistics we look at. I just found this really interesting because it seems that video in a lot of statistics have peaked in about 2019 and then they kind of just stay steady 2020, 2021, 2022. But we're seeing average watch time is definitely going up. People just consume more content more and more each year. And we always say the play button is the most engaging button on the internet. You click play, you're going to be consumed in that video, especially if it's engaging. And you're seeing in 2022, people are averaging per week 19 hours of view time. So whether they're on their computer, TV, laptop, whatever it may be, people are consuming content. So more eyeballs mean more opportunities to have your content viewed, get your stuff out there. It's now is the best time to get started with video for sure. All right. So we're going to hop into video bootcamp questions. We had a few questions kind of roll through the bootcamp yesterday, as well as through the community. So again, I've said it 100 times, but make sure you join the community where you can ask questions kind of anytime and we'll answer them during these office hours. And the first question is, what's the best hosting platform? So this is kind of a loaded question, right? Because everyone has individual needs and how they need to upload their videos and what's their end goal for video, right? And so first and foremost, we encourage everyone to upload their videos on YouTube. This doesn't mean you're exclusively uploading them to YouTube. This just means you're getting them out there. So YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, only behind Google. So people are going to YouTube all the time to search things. So putting your videos on YouTube, that's just more brand affinity marketing. That's just bringing more awareness to your videos overall. And of course, if someone finds your YouTube channel or stumbles across one of your videos, they start watching it, they might connect to it really well. And next thing you know, they're Googling your website and they're helping to your website. So YouTube is a great opportunity to upload your videos and just have them live there to build that brand affinity. And then we also have a few others here. We have Wistia, Vimeo, and Vidyard. And they all do a few different things. I guess Vimeo is really nice for more artistic purposes, right? It's Vimeo has less compression overall, and so it'll provide just a higher overall quality of your video. I don't know if you've ever been to YouTube and you've watched a really famous person upload a video and the quality is crystal clear, and then you watch someone who has a technically a better quality video. You can see the production levels much higher, but they don't have nearly as many subscribers and the quality is less. Even though you went to the corner and you put the quality on the highest possible resolution, it's still pixelated and the compression's kind of weird. And you're like, I don't understand why that happens. It's because YouTube selectively compresses your videos. If you don't have a ton of followers and you're not putting out tons of views, then YouTube will compress your videos because there's so many videos on YouTube. They have to do that to kind of maintain their storage. So they will compress your videos to where Vimeo, it is a paid account. They're not going to compress your videos nearly as much. You're going to be able to provide the full quality on Vimeo. And again, it's more of that artistic landscape where you go there to make sure you are having the highest quality video uploads possible. But then we're going to hop over to Wistia and Vidyard. These are more for implementation into a CRM. So this is really where you're going to jump into looking at video analytics. You're going to really want to study, average engagement, total views, things like that. You're going to be able to do all of these in Wistia and Vidyard. And then they also have corresponding implementations into the HubSpot CRM. So you can implement them directly in and collect all your data in the HubSpot CRM. So that's really cool. It's kind of a pick and choose how you want to go with Wistia and Vidyard. There's small things that they have that have advantages to each of them. Like Vidyard is more kind of targeted for sales and service, where Wistia is more analytical and they have just a little bit more on the analytics side. So again, it's very much a pick and choose. And Corey just shared a link. We have a video directly comparing Wistia, and Vidyard. So if you're really interested in more of the details of how they differentiate, definitely watch that video.
And I think it's also important to remember that YouTube is a social network, right? So you're going to get a lot of feedback from comments from users and visitors. So that's always an important thing to remember. It can be very useful to get that, the community's perspective on things sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people will create a video and they'll kind of give revisions and revisions and revisions. And that's just based on how they're viewing it. But then when you put it on YouTube, you might get loads of comments that say something that's completely opposite. And you realize, hey, maybe I need to look at this from a different angle and look at it for more on the consumer side rather than how I'm owning the video kind of thing. So definitely a benefit to get all those comments and get people kind of just coming in and providing feedback on your videos. All right. So the second question we had is how can I simplify my editing process? Right. So this is another very loaded question. But the good news is if you're looking to kind of get into editing, there are so many softwares out there that kind of just ease you in. They start you very low level and they give you just a few things you can do to optimize your video. And then, of course, over time, you can graduate and go up to a higher application that does a little bit more features in that regard. Starting off, we have Soapbox by Wistia. That is going to be the most simplistic editor possible. You basically just record yourself, and all you can do is really trim the edges and kind of share your screen as you're doing that. You can also customize the little player button, things like that. But beyond that, that's your editing, right? So you can kind of simplify it in that manner because it's going to be very quick. Record a video, edit it super quick, and just share it, get it out there. There's also the script editor, which is what we're using in the bootcamp. It is a very low level learning software, but also provides a lot of assets and a lot of different features that you can utilize in it. So that's another really good piece of software you can take to try to simplify your process. And then, if you're doing any sort of like, if you're trying to talk about simplifying a process in a high level application like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, you know, it's really just trying to find maybe some plugins or templates how that simplify that process. So, again, let's say you're trying to create some sort of graphic, you might not have time to go through and actually create the assets of the graphic, create all the tiny little keyframes and everything. It's so much detail. So I'm going to jump over to the next slide here, plugins and templates. This is something I created in like 2 minutes. And I want to just show you guys because all I did was take a plugin, drop it in. It's basically just a graph, and you'll see all the animations are presets. I didn't do any of it. And again, it took me only 2 minutes to create it. So you can see how everything expands, the numbers come in, the letters come in and everything, and then they'll animate out as well. So it's pretty cool. And again, like 60 seconds, that's just one of our paid plugins that we have that I can utilize. So yeah, if you're looking for how can I simplify my process at a very high level, try to utilize some sort of plugin or template that you can take advantage of.
Yeah, the tools are out there. I think it's just trying to find which one's right for you, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Motion VFX is a really good template start. So you can go and kind of just see how many different templates are out there available. It's just a great opportunity to browse through there because it gives you an understanding of like how people are accomplishing these things, right? If I were to create some sort of video where I have a 3D cell phone kind of like flying through space, I can do that all manually, but it might take me so many hours to do. Where there are so many templates now where you can just drop it in and then drop your video on top of it, and it'll automatically like preload that video on the cell phone screen. And then you can just kind of do simple animations to it from there. So definitely check out plugins and templates. Okay. And then the last one, where can I get my music to use in projects? Corey, do you want to maybe take this one a little bit?
Sure. There are a number of options. Things that we recommend is, and I'm throwing them in the chat right now. Things
Hmm.
like the YouTube audio library, which
Hmm.
is completely free to use for anyone with a YouTube account set up. There are various license types. Some of them you might have to put like attribution credits or something in the actual description of your video, but all of them are free and there are tons of them. If you look at that screenshot, I took that today. Those are all added February of 2022. So they are updating this surprisingly regularly for free content, which is great. If you find that you're looking for something that's maybe a little bit more unique, perhaps there are a number of other services that offer this as well. Things like Artlist is one of them that we subscribe to, and I've used those guys for years now. They've got tons of music. It is a yearly subscription,
Mhm.
and you can utilize anything on there. It's unlimited downloads for that year when you've paid for it. They also offer things now like sound effects and stock footage and some other templates and things that you can get as well. But the stock music catalog that they have is absolutely great. And there are tons of other ones as well. I see Lou in the chat, freesound.org. There
Mhm.
are things like Soundstripe and a few other companies that provide this. The most important thing is to make sure that you get either royalty free music and attribute it correctly,
Mhm.
or you purchase a license for it. You don't want to start trying to get into, fair use of songs and try to fight, some big artist over, a small video that you might have, and get in trouble over something like that, or have it taken down from a
Yeah.
platform, right?
Mm.
So it's always important to license your music. And yeah, like I said, we use Artlist ourselves, but certainly that YouTube audio library is a great tool.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of resources out there. I've used Artlist, I've used Epidemic Sound. I think the biggest
Mhm.
difference though that I found with Artlist versus a lot others for paid subscription specifically is that if you have a paid subscription with Artlist and then you decide to cancel that subscription, your videos are still okay. You don't have to worry about them being copywritten struck on YouTube or wherever it may be. Because you canceled your subscription, to where a few others, I actually had a personal experience where I had loads of videos up with another subscription. And then all of a sudden I canceled my subscription once it expired and they flagged all my videos. So just be aware of that. And Artlist is really good at making sure you understand that right when you sign up. They make it very well known that other companies do that and they do not. So just something to think about when looking at subscription services for free or for music.
And I've never gotten a copyright notice or a warning or a flag or anything like that
Mhm.
using Artlist music. But if you were to, they handle all of that stuff for you. You can just
Yeah.
reach out to their support. They give you all of the licensing. You get PDFs of things. So you
Mhm.
have like supporting documents and information to be able to kind of back yourself up. But personally, I've never had any issues with it. They're really good about that.
Awesome. All right. So those are our three questions we wanted to talk about. We're at 4:29, so we do have a little bit of time here to answer any questions. If you guys want to drop any questions in the chat, we're happy to answer those and just kind of hang out for the next minute or two. Looks like Lou says, I got so many of those using Adobe Music, had to keep showing proof. Yeah, it happens. It happens to even the honest ones of us, right? Like
Yeah.
we pay for the subscription, we download the music, we have the license, and we still get copywritten struck. It just happens from time to time. So yeah, being diligent and making sure you have all your backup, your resources, your material to present to make sure that you can kind of fight that fight.
I actually did a piece once with the Venice Orchestra, and they kept getting copyright strikes for other orchestras and things because
Wow.
they were so good at performing that
Right.
they were getting these copyright strikes. And it was like, this is this piece of music performed by the Boston Pop Orchestra or whatever. And it was just the Venice Orchestra just playing.
Mhm. Looks like we got a question here. Sarah asked, "Do you recommend any tools for adding overlays to video?" So, um, Corey, you wanna talk a little bit about that? You look like you were.
Sure. Sure. I mean, there are a number of things that you can do. Some of the more maybe kind of simple tools that are out there might not give you as much control or customization with this.
Mhm.
But certainly there are things like Canva, for example. They have a lot of kind of design and social templates that you can do, but you can also
Yeah.
do things like video and add some graphics and overlays with it. Um, but certainly also things like Final Cut or Premiere, any of those non-linear editors allow you to do multiple tracks, right? So you
Mhm.
can go in and you can add text and you can add, graphics and logos and things like that. So if you find yourself often wanting to do a lot of those things, it may be beneficial to start looking at some of those other softwares.
Mhm.
But certainly there are some tools like Canva, for example, that is
Yeah.
kind of designed to be very simple. It's designed to be quick and easy to add some overlays and kind of just add some things onto video.
Yeah, absolutely. And like just to compound off of that, the applications like Final Cut Pro or even Descript, what we're using in the boot camp, you can implement all of those like the video footage, graphics, all that stuff inside of it. It just becomes then a multi-track editor. So it becomes a little bit more complicated in that regard. So that's kind of where the learning and the education of video editing comes in. We do have a few more questions coming in. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations on creating a good hook for short social media pieces? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You want to make sure that you're short and to the point. That's the main thing. Like social videos, so many people kind of beat around the bush and trying to get what they're, trying to achieve and that information um, told. You want to make sure that you get that out very quick because people are on their phones, they swipe so quickly and they'll watch 3 seconds of a video. And if it doesn't get their attention, boom, they're gone. So always making sure that you're just grabbing an attention, whether it be some sort of quick graphic right at the beginning to swoop in and grab it, or it should just get right to the point, right? They should hit play and then thrown directly into it. There shouldn't be any sort of introduction that takes 10 seconds and it's slow and it's boring. And, you want to make sure that it's kind of more high energy and just grabs your attention immediately because that's the biggest key for people to retain watching social videos.
Yeah, and you only have like 30 to 60 seconds, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't want to take up, 25, 28 seconds of this clip with like a flashy logo animating in and like, all this stuff at the end. Like it's more about the content of that part, right? Like
For sure.
utilize those graphics and the logos and things to help attract and enhance, but not
hmm
distract anyone.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right. It looks like we got another question there from Drake. Tips on how to use video for outbound sales. And I think Gabriel kind of hit the nail on the head right there. Like video voicemails and video meeting recaps are excellent videos that you can create that are kind of low level energy videos that you have to do, right? Like you can use Descript for that. You can use Soapbox by Wistia. They can be very quick and to the point, but it just humanizes everything. And as we know, no one likes to be automated by a robot through an entire process. We'd rather be our handheld by another person and kind of walking us through humanizing those levels. So making sure that you're just taking every step of the way and putting in your kind of personal touch to that. A video alleviates all of that. Of course, you can send a follow up email, but record a video with that email and just show your energy. Be excited about it. Telling, say, I had so much, I had a great time meeting with you and I have so many ideas. I'm going to get the next step rolling and we'll talk soon. Something like that just gets, everyone on the same page and it brings more energy to the overall project you're trying to achieve. Let's see. We've got a bunch of comments that just kind of came in there. Starting video with a question helps too. Absolutely. Yeah. Starting a video with your question, right? You're basically finding the pain point. A viewer is clicking play for a reason, whether they might be attracted to the thumbnail, they might be attracted to the title. And so if they click play and the question that is immediately asked is something that is a pain point for them, they're definitely going to watch it because they're going to understand. Hopefully, this video helps them solve one of their problems, right? Okay, thanks. I've struggled to get people to actually watch the video, I assume for fear of phishing. Yeah, I mean that definitely happens. It's hard to convince someone that you're not scamming someone, right? If it's just kind of a,
Click
a
a
shot in the
random
dark.
link.
But yeah, it's definitely good to add that thumbnail in, right? Because it shows your face. It shows that it's not just some random weird link that they're going to go to. They might be able to see your face with the play button, and that's going to maybe attract them to kind of click on it and redirect to that.
Yeah, I like that. Put in the
Mhm.
subject line, John, I created this video for you. Like personalize it so that it doesn't feel like it's just a robot or an automated response. It's, I made
Yeah.
this for you.
Right. Yeah. It's directed more, or it's directly at them. So. Awesome. Yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you for attending. I don't see any more questions. We'll hang out maybe for another minute here if anyone has any more questions. We're 6 minutes over, so thanks for asking questions. Right, we're hitting the nail on the head with the office hours, so this is exciting. All right. So if you guys do have any more questions, throughout these next 2 weeks, you can go to the HubSpot community. Corey will drop that link into the chat one more time to make sure that you can head there and register for that. Again, any video related questions, ask there. You have a community to answer you. We're also there. We exist there. So we're going to help you out as well. And yeah, we'll see you in the next office hours. Make sure you register to that. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time. So March, whatever that may be. But yeah, we're excited to see you guys. Definitely join and ask more questions, and we'll talk to you guys later.